Hey everybody, just Choppy Reviewer here. Cocolito the Choppy Reviewer. I was debating for a long time if I should even stream tonight. Uh, Still debating it. My head's in a bit of a weird place right now. The title might be a little bit weird. Um, for those of you who don't know, I I used to be a ferret owner. I had two ferrets, Leafy and Mordecai. And a month and a year ago, Leafy passed away, which just left me with Mordecai and myself. And today, I had to uh, I had to put Mordecai to sleep. And as far as ferrets go, I guess he was kind of old, pushing around 6 years old ish. For mixed ferrets, that's a bit old. Purebred ferrets could get a little bit older, but Leafy and Mordecai weren't purebred ferrets. I'm not typically an emotional guy, but when it came to Leafy and Mordecai, I tend to get a little bit emotional. Guess one of the reasons I'm on here is like I just need to. I don't know. I need to talk. I don't know. Like I said, my head is not screwed on right at this moment. You ever see the movie The Beastmaster? It was an old movie. Let's see if I can find a picture of it. It's such a 90s movie. The sequel's terrible. But oh, there was a third Beastmaster movie? That's not confident. Yeah, let's switch up screens here. Yeah, the Beastmaster. And oh, that tiger, panther, I forget what it was, but it's not originally black. It's painted, but anyway, the Beastmaster was one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. And he had a couple of ferrets. And ever since that movie, I knew I just had to get some ferrets. But growing up kind of poor in Bronx, New York, and not a very easy place to get ferrets, at least not at the time. Not that I know of. Not that we could really handle ferrets at a little tiny one-bedroom apartment I lived in with my parents and my two younger brothers. But growing up, once I finally got my own place, you find out that ferrets are considered exotic animals, and a lot of places don't allow ferrets. So, for a long time, this became a no go. Can't have ferrets. Then finally, I did find a place there where I could live and where I could get ferrets. It's about 6 years ago, 2013. So of course, that's when I got Leafy and Mordecai. See if I could. If you're looking at the thumbnail, you would have seen a picture. Here we go. Here we go. I think that's the day after I got Leafy and Mordecai. Look at that. This is before I got the magnificent beard. Mordecai is the toast-colored one, and on the left the picture in my right hand looks really grumpy. Leafy, she's the one trying to escape my left-hand man. My cheeks were chubby back then. I wonder if they got chubby again. I stopped working out, so they might have gotten chubby again. Don't know. The beard's in the way now. But yeah, they were just like, man, Mordecai was still pretty big, even though he was kind of a baby back then. And oh, oh wow, okay, I could do that. Let's close that picture. And my avatar picture, if you're looking at it right now, is this. Celia actually drew that for me. We're kind of joking around about putting Mordecai in a dragon costume, and that's what she came up with. Like she's a great artist. And Mordecai loved breaking into Celia's underwear drawer and trying to steal away her Well, in this case, her bra. She drew that after we caught Mordecai running away one of her bras, and then I like kind of carried it back to her. And they were wonderful pets for so long. But a little more than a year ago, Mordecai got sick. He ended up getting cancer, a tumor in his rectum, and I freaked out big time. Took him to the vet. They were able to remove the tumor, at least a large growth that was kind of like exiting uh, his ass, let's just say. Uh, but the tumor was still there, and so took him to an oncologist. I think that's how you pronounce it. Put him on some chemotherapy, and he got better. He actually got stronger after that. Like he got way more energetic after he recovered from that. Unfortunately, out of nowhere, Leify's health dropped. Like I don't know what happened to her, but she just got sick, and I took her to multiple vets. The reason it was multiple vets was because I made a lot of emergency night visits, and some vets were closed, others were open, and I'm just taking her all over the place. Really drained my bank account, just trying to take care of her. And day after day, week after week, she's just getting worse and worse. Then finally, well, finally in one vet visit, uh, we I had to accept the fact she wasn't getting better. And I was really struggling to try to help her out, but I waited way too long, and she was suffering. So, I said, okay, we're gonna have to put her to sleep. The vet went to the next room. She was prepping up some stuff to get her ready, and I was in the room alone with Leify. I was holding her, and then she started. She was very weak, but then she started like moving again, and it took me a second to realize that she was going through her death throes. And I'm holding her, and then she just goes very still. And I put her body up to my ear. And normally ferrets have very fast heartbeat, but heartbeat was really slow, and then it kept getting slower and slower, and then it just stopped. And she does, she died in my hands right there. And I always kind of make the joke. Well, afterwards, I would make the joke that that's so much like Leify. She had to go out on her own terms. She was out of the two. She was always the brat. She always had to get things her way. She was like a little princess. Actually, there's another picture. Here we go. This is something Celia drew of Leify. This is when she was younger. She used to have this black and gray fur, but as she grew older, it kind of all faded away, and she was like just pure white. And I don't think I actually have a picture of her in her full white fur. Is this one? Okay, this is where it's faded. Like I'm holding her. She has her arms so kind of crossed there. It's starting to fade away. But so I make the joke that she had to go out in her own way. But ultimately, like I realized I waited too long. I was just making her suffer. And recently with Mordecai, um, well, although he beat the colon cancer, it spread to his lymph nodes, and he had to go on chemotherapy again. This time the medication wasn't working, and the oncologist decided to move him up to stronger chemotherapy. But this one really didn't agree with him, and it was just it devastated him. Like he couldn't eat. He was nauseous. He had troubles with his liver, and like he just couldn't. He had a lot of trouble moving. Period. and he just looked like a mess. And I took him this morning. Like I called out for work to take Mordecai on an emergency call to a vet. He had almost no white blood cells in his system. His liver wasn't doing too well. His blood sugar was tanked, and he was shaking. And the vet told me that he could start going into seizures because of his blood sugar being so bad. And there were just like other problems with his organs. Could have been the chemotherapy. Most likely it was chemotherapy. Could have been an infection. They weren't positive on that. Uh, they gave me a plan that could potentially help him, but there was a very low chance. And I've known Mordecai, all his life. He he was strong. Like after he got even when he had the tumor in his the tumor in his rectum, like he was still he was really active. He was strong. Like he didn't really let that bother him. Like whenever he got sick, he was still super active. Like he wouldn't let you know. This time he couldn't fight this. And after what happened with Leafy, I knew I didn't want to prolong this with Mordecai. And I spent the day with him, and normally, like, he doesn't stay in one spot. Like, he was lying down on the floor next to me. And I could tell the light was hurt in his eyes. Like, his eyes gotten too sensitive for light. So he kept having his head dug underneath the blanket. But he just wouldn't move. Normally, like, when you pet him, he wasn't kind of fair. Like, he loved attention. And he would do anything to get your attention, but he didn't want to be pet. And if you pet him, like, he'll move away and then lie back down. He didn't do that this time. Like, he didn't have the strength to do it. So I knew that this was the only call to make. So Celia was with me. We were at the vet and made the final call. And now he's no longer in pain. I like to think that he's with Leafy right now. So right now my head's a little bit of a mess. Just need some time to deal with it. Looking over there, that's their cage, where they grew up. So I won't be streaming any games tonight. Just want to see the story. If you're watching this, it's going to be on a replay. So, and I appreciate you watching this. This is just me trying to get some things out of my head. Just trying to talk. But yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Maybe let's get this picture up there. Slave for Mordecai. I like to think they're in a better place. All right, so yeah, I think I'm done for now. I'm done for tonight. I'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for listening to my story. If you're watching this, well, of course if you're watching this, you listen to my story. All right. Good night, everybody.